Mitochondria are called the powerhouse of the cell. They are intracellular organelles found in almost all eukaryotic cells having bilayered membranes. Most eukaryotic cells contain many mitochondria, which occupy up to 25% of the volume of the cytoplasm. These crucial organelles, the main sites of ATP production during aerobic metabolism, are generally exceeded in size only by the nucleus, vacuoles, and chloroplasts. They are responsible for aerobic metabolism through oxidative phosphorylation, which leads to energy production in the form of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Mitochondria contain a number of enzymes and proteins that help in processing carbohydrates and fats obtained from food we eat to release energy. Each human cell contains on average hundreds to thousands of mitochondria. The exception is mature red blood cells, which rely exclusively on anaerobic metabolism and contain no mitochondria. Mitochondria are present in all eukaryotic cells. They move autonomously in the cytoplasm, so they generally have uniform distribution in the cytoplasm, but in many cells their distribution is restricted. The distribution and number of mitochondria can be correlated with type of function the cell performs. Typically, mitochondria with many cristae are associated with mechanical and osmotic work situations, where there are sustained demands for ATP. Mitochondria are particularly numerous in regions where ATP-driven osmotic work occurs, for example, brush border of kidney proximal tubules. The mitochondria may be filamentous or granular in shape and may change from one form to another depending upon the physiological conditions of the cells. Thus, they may be of club, racket, vesicular, ring or round shape. Each mitochondrion is bound by two highly specialized membranes that play a crucial role in its activities. Each of the mitochondrial membrane is 6 nanometers in thickness and fluid mosaic in ultrastructure. The membranes are made up of phospholipids and proteins. The space in between the two membranes is called the intermembrane space, which has the same composition as the cytoplasm of the cell. Inner and the outer membrane is separated by a 6 to 8 nanometers wide space. The two membranes that bound a mitochondrion differ in composition and function. The outer membrane, composed of about half lipid and half protein, contains porins that render the membrane permeable to molecules having molecular weights as high as 10,000 Dalton. The outer membrane is smooth unlike the inner membrane and has almost the same amount of phospholipids as proteins. It has a large number of special proteins called porins that allow molecules of 5,000 Daltons or less in weight to pass through it. It is completely permeable to nutrient molecules, ions, ATP and ADP molecules. The inner membrane is much less permeable than the outer membrane. It has about 20% lipid and 80% protein. The surface area of the inner membrane is greatly increased by a large number of infoldings, or finger-like projections called cristae, that protrude into the matrix, or central space, increasing the surface area for the complexes. It contains the complexes of the electron transport chain and the ATP synthetase complex. They also serve to separate the matrix from the space that will contain the hydrogen ions, allowing the gradient needed to drive the pump. It is permeable only to oxygen, carbon dioxide and water and is made up of a large number of proteins that play an important role in producing ATP, and also helps in regulating transfer of metabolites across the membrane. The matrix is a complex mixture of enzymes that are important for the synthesis of ATP molecules, special mitochondrial ribosomes, tRNAs and the mitochondrial DNA. Besides these, it has oxygen, carbon dioxide and other recyclable intermediates. Mitochondria are found to contain 65 to 70% proteins, 25 to 30% lipids, 0.5% RNA and small amount of the DNA. The lipid contents of the mitochondria is around 90% phospholipids, lecithin and kephalin, 5% or less cholesterol and 5% free fatty acids and triglycerides. The inner membrane is rich in one type of phospholipid, called cardiolipin, which makes this membrane impermeable to a variety of ions and small molecules, Na+, K+, Cl, Nad+, AMP, GTP, CoA and so on. The outer mitochondrial membrane has typical ratio of 50% proteins and 50% phospholipids of unit membrane. However, it contains more unsaturated fatty acids and less cholesterol. Function of mitochondria. The most important function of the mitochondria is to produce energy. The food that we eat is broken into simpler molecules like carbohydrates, fats, etc., in our bodies. These are sent to the mitochondrion where they are further processed to produce charged molecules that combine with oxygen and produce ATP molecules. This entire process is known as oxidative phosphorylation. It is important to maintain proper concentration of calcium ions within the various compartments of the cell. Mitochondria help the cells to achieve this goal by serving as storage tanks of calcium ions. Mitochondria help in the building of certain parts of the blood, and hormones like testosterone and estrogen. Mitochondria in the liver cells have enzymes that detoxify ammonia. Although most of the genetic material of a cell is contained within the nucleus, the mitochondria have their own DNA. They have their own machinery for protein synthesis and reproduce by the process of fission like bacteria do. Due to their independence from the nuclear DNA and similarities with bacteria, it is believed that mitochondria have originated from bacteria by endosymbiosis.